a total dignified silence, despite the fact that Meghan treated him so appallingly, even sending back their engagement ring via the post.
No, but she is a malignant narcissist who cannot get enough of herself while she simultaneously plays the victim. My castle's too small. Yeah. The queen is mean to me.
What if I told you the one man Meghan Markle thought was buried in her past just picked up the phone and torched her entire image with a few brutal truths? Because that's exactly what just happened. Trevor Engelson, her ex-husband, the one she left in the dust the moment Hollywood gave her a better deal, has finally broken his silence. No warning, no sugarcoating, just raw, unfiltered truth from the man who knew her before the crown, before the cameras, and before the calculated reinvention. And what he said? It's got Meghan spiraling behind those Montecito mansion walls, threatening lawsuits, canceling appearances, and, according to one source, smashing vases in a soundproof rage room. Let's break it down.
Now revealed that information came direct from Meghan's ex-husband, Trevor Engelson, via an intermediary. And obviously, Trevor Engelson is a very successful TV producer.
For years, Trevor Engelson stayed silent. No interviews, no memoirs, not even a whisper, while Meghan rebranded herself from Hollywood extra to royal underdog to global humanitarian. But now, that silence is officially over. Sources say Trevor finally reached his breaking point. After watching Meghan rewrite their history on Netflix, in magazines, and on podcast after podcast, he decided it was time his side was heard. And what he said? It wasn't petty. It wasn't exaggerated. It was cold, clear, and devastatingly honest. Trevor painted Meghan as emotionally distant, calculating, and obsessed with status from day one. He described their relationship as a one-way street, his support, her ambition. And when the opportunity came along for her to trade up, she didn't hesitate. She mailed him back the engagement ring, literally, via FedEx. According to one of Trevor's friends, he stayed silent while she rewrote the past. Now it's his turn. And this isn't just some tabloid leak. It's coming straight from the man who lived with Meghan before the fame, before the filtered Instagram posts, before the royal titles. And that's why it's hitting so hard. Because if anyone knows the real Meghan, it's Trevor Engelson. And now he's talking.
He now has his own family. He's very happy. He hasn't spoken on the record.
Planned from the beginning. She denied being interested in the royal family, which she totally was. I know someone who knows the ex-husband who said she had a vision board with Prince Harry on it.
The moment the headlines hit, Meghan lost it. Multiple insiders say she stormed into a closed-door meeting at her Montecito estate, slammed the door hard enough to rattle the windows, and unleashed absolute fury on her press team. One staffer claims she screamed, "He was supposed to be silenced forever! How did this get out?" Another said the room was so tense, several aides quietly slipped out mid-meeting, afraid they'd be next. This wasn't a PR crisis. This was a personal collapse. Meghan, who's known for being obsessed with controlling her image down to the font on her thank you notes, had just been ambushed by someone she thought was buried in her past. And worse, she had no response ready, no spin, no control. By midday, her legal team was already firing off cease and desist letters to media outlets covering Trevor's revelations. But the damage was done. Meghan wasn't just fighting to protect her reputation, she was fighting to keep it from completely imploding. This wasn't betrayal, this was exposure. And for someone who spent years building a polished, curated public persona, this hit harder than anything the tabloids ever printed.
That Meghan Markle returned her engagement ring to Trevor Engelson via the post. But the fact that you're actually so blatant in terms of the fact that you want this famous royal, and specifically you want Prince.
Here's where things go from bad to uncontrollable. Meghan may be used to silencing critics with a quick phone call to her lawyers, but this time, she's got no leverage. Trevor Engelson never signed a non-disclosure agreement during their divorce. That means he's legally free to say whatever he wants. And Meghan, she knows it. Insiders say she immediately ordered her legal team to draft a gag order, despite knowing she had no legal grounds to enforce one. One entertainment attorney even said, if what he said wasn't true, she could have just denied it. But this panic? It speaks volumes. And it doesn't stop there. Multiple media outlets reportedly received threatening letters from Meghan's lawyers within hours of Trevor's name trending. The message was clear: stop quoting him, or else. But here's the irony. Those frantic legal threats only made the public more suspicious. If Meghan had nothing to hide, why was she scrambling to bury the story? Now the narrative has flipped. Instead of controlling the damage, Meghan's reaction is fueling the fire. Her legal team isn't protecting her brand anymore. They're exposing just how fragile it really is. And Trevor? He's just getting started.
Is that going to change? Do you think there'll ever be a moment when Trevor is prompted to speak out?
I mean, probably not unless there's something that's, let's say, impacting his family now.
If there was ever a moment that completely shattered Meghan's self-made fairy tale, it's this. Because according to sources close to Trevor and verified on air by journalist Meghan Kelly, Meghan had a vision board. And on it, Prince Harry. Yes. While she was still married to Trevor Engelson, she had Prince Harry's face pinned to a board like some royal Pinterest fantasy. This wasn't some late-night joke or silly mood board. It was, according to insiders, a strategic plan. She knew exactly what she wanted, and Trevor wasn't it. One of Trevor's friends told reporters, she never wanted to build with Trevor. She wanted to upgrade from him. And now that these vision board claims have resurfaced, people are rewatching Meghan's old interviews with a whole new lens. Remember when she said she didn't know anything about the royal family before meeting Harry? That she didn't Google him? That it all happened so naturally? Lies. Or at the very least, well-rehearsed misdirection. This wasn't a meet cute. This was a mission. And if you think this bombshell came out of nowhere, think again. Meghan's fascination with status, titles, and social climbing has long been whispered about in Hollywood circles. But now, it's front-page news. The vision board isn't just embarrassing, it's damning. It pulls back the curtain on a woman who spent years curating an image of authenticity and accidental fame. When in reality, it may have all been part of a master plan. And for Trevor, it's the ultimate betrayal. The woman he thought he was building a future with was already mapping out her next chapter, without him in it.
It's impressive. You got to admit that is impressive.
She nailed it. Yeah,
because a lot of people probably did that.
It was like shooting fish in a barrel. With all that self-help talk, he was no match for her.
When the headlines exploded, Meghan didn't just panic. She did what she always does when the walls start to close in. She blamed Buckingham Palace. According to multiple sources close to the Sussex inner circle, Meghan is absolutely convinced that the timing of Trevor Engelson's revelations is no accident. She reportedly believes the palace, yes, the same one she accused of racism, neglect, and cruelty, is still pulling strings behind the scenes to take her down. One Montecito insider revealed, Meghan sees this as a coordinated hit. She believes Trevor's interview was greenlit by royal operatives to coincide with her next big project launch. A friend close to the situation says Meghan has been obsessing over the timeline, connecting dots that might not even be there, and telling confidants, they're terrified of what I represent. They never wanted me to thrive after leaving. And now they're coming for me. Again. This isn't new. Meghan has long maintained the narrative that she's been a target ever since stepping away from royal duties. But this time, it's different. This time, it's personal. Because the voice dragging her image through the mud isn't a tabloid editor or a bitter royal aide. It's Trevor, her ex-husband. The man who knew her before the palace gates and glossy Netflix deals. And for Meghan, that makes him far more dangerous than any British headline ever could. So now she's lashing out, not just legally, but emotionally. Sources say she's told her team to trace the source of the leak, to find out who fed Trevor the confidence to go public, and to monitor which media outlets are pushing the palace's agenda. The problem? Not everyone in her inner circle is convinced there is a palace plot. Some staffers are reportedly rolling their eyes behind closed doors, saying Meghan's paranoia is spiraling out of control.
They have an absolutely fascinating, for people like me and you who have followed the story for a long time. Obviously, we know that Meghan Markle did plan this, but what is new in terms of Megyn Kelly's revelation is that it is Trevor.
Others are quietly asking the obvious, what if this isn't sabotage? What if it's just the truth finally surfacing? Critics say Meghan's classic playbook, victimhood, royal blame, media manipulation, is wearing thin. It worked when she first stepped into the spotlight. But now, it's starting to sound like a broken record, because the real threat to her brand isn't coming from the palace. It's coming from the past. And Trevor? He's just the first crack in the facade. As the Trevor headlines gained momentum, Meghan did what no one expected. She disappeared. Within 48 hours of the story breaking, Meghan quietly pulled out of multiple high-profile appearances. A women's leadership summit in Los Angeles? Canceled. A charity Q&A in New York? Postponed indefinitely. A press event for her new business venture? Scrubbed from the calendar. At first, her reps blamed scheduling conflicts, but insiders tell a very different story. According to two separate sources inside her team, Meghan was too emotionally unstable to appear in front of a live audience because she knew exactly what the first question would be. Trevor. And worse? She didn't have an answer. One PR insider put it bluntly. She had no control over the narrative, and for someone like Meghan, that's a nightmare. This wasn't just about embarrassment, it was about exposure. Everything she's built since stepping back from royal life has revolved around a very carefully curated image. The empowered duchess, the misunderstood outsider, the feminist trailblazer. And now, that image is cracking in real time. By retreating, Meghan may have hoped to wait out the storm, but instead, she's added fuel to the fire. Her silence is being read not as grace, but as guilt.
All worked up. I'm a founder. I'm over it. She's not important. She married for money. It's very clear. She bagged the elephant. She was thrilled. She became a, quote, prince.
Commentators are saying exactly what her critics have been whispering for years. If you have nothing to hide, why run? Meanwhile, the hashtags keep piling up. #Trevor tells all. #Meghan exposed. #Vision board gate. Even her most loyal fans are beginning to ask the uncomfortable questions. Was it all just PR? How much of the Meghan we've seen is real, and how much was just performance? Because one thing is clear, this isn't a strategy, this is survival. And Meghan, she's in retreat mode. Just when you thought this story couldn't get any more surreal, enter the rage room. Yes, seriously. According to multiple insiders from inside the Montecito mansion, Meghan Markle has a private, soundproof space where she goes when things spiral out of control. The staff jokingly call it the rage room. But no one's laughing anymore. Sources say the room is designed for meltdowns. We're talking plush walls, no sharp corners, aromatherapy diffusers, and breakable vases. Lots of them. This week alone, Meghan reportedly smashed 2 decorative vases and kicked over a $6,000 lamp in a blind fury after seeing her name trending under hashtags like #TrevorTellsAll and #Meghan exposed. One staffer who's worked with her for over a year said bluntly, "When something goes wrong, she doesn't cry, she combusts." And let's be clear, this isn't just diva behavior, this is collapse. Sources say she's locking herself away for hours at a time, refusing to take calls, dodging her team, and obsessively refreshing social media.
They won't let me call myself Her Royal Highness anymore, but I'm going to put it all over my stationery and on the gifts that I give to my friends, while she never stops whining. And at the same time, I'm getting all worked up. I'm a founder.
Even her closest aides are walking on eggshells. One insider said staffers are now rotating their shifts to avoid being in the house when Meghan's in full crisis mode. To the outside world, the mansion may look calm, curated, and camera-ready, but behind those gates, Meghan is unraveling. And now that the public has caught wind of the rage room, it's become a symbol of something much darker. A woman who built her life around image control and is now watching it slip right through her fingers. Because you can't scream the truth into silence, and you can't rage your past out of existence. Not when it has a name. And that name is Trevor. For years, Meghan Markle crafted a narrative, one where she was the misunderstood outsider, the silenced duchess, the woman who dared to challenge a centuries-old institution. But now, that narrative is collapsing. Trevor Engelson didn't just break his silence, he shattered the illusion. And in doing so, he reminded the world that beneath the royal titles and Netflix gloss, there's a real story Meghan never wanted told. One of strategy, of emotional detachment, of ambition disguised as empowerment. And the scariest part for Meghan? Trevor didn't even go all in. Sources say he held back the worst parts out of respect. But now that she's sent her lawyers to muzzle him, all bets are off. The vision board, the rage room, the sudden cancellations, the legal scramble, it's not just drama, it's a reckoning. And as Meghan retreats, silences her team, and blames everyone from the palace to the press, the world is asking one simple question. If she has nothing to hide, why is she running so hard from the truth? Because Trevor's voice? It was just the beginning. And Meghan's carefully built image? It's not just cracking, it's coming apart at the seams.